Hello again and welcome back to my channel. I'm Heather. This little guy is Conan. Yes, you are. And I have a sewing project to tell you about. Finally. You tired sitting up? You want to lie down? Do I just hold you like a baby? Okay, so the dog is going to stay lying in my arms like a baby while I tell you about my latest sewing project that I'm wearing. So I cut this out. It was either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day of this year. So January 1st, 2022, let's just say. I cut out a whole bunch of things at that time and I made all of them up except this pretty soon after. And then the pieces for this just stayed on the work table for a very long time. And I suppose I should say this, the pattern company is Patterns for Pirates. The pattern name is the Naughty Nice Pyjamas. And it's a onesie. Look, onesie. I'm covered in this print from my ankles to my wrists. It's amazing. I had bought the fabric in December of last year at Fabricland. It's this gorgeous like woodland animal print. We've got little squirrels and birds and trees and nuts and owls, fox, hedgehog. I love it. I love the colors. And when I saw it at Fabricland, I thought, yes, I need to make that onesie pattern I saw. You must need a lot of fabric to cut out a whole onesie for an adult. And I can't remember how much I got, but I could have made 3 of these. I have a lot more of this fabric left. Like, I'm just going to have all the pajamas in this print. It's sort of fleecy, but it's very fine, like a very thin fleece. It's sort of brushed inside, very soft. I imagine very few natural fibers in it. That polar fleece has no natural fibers in it, and this just feels like a very, very thin version of that. It's got some stretch, which is good, very close fitting, and it was a lot of fun to make when I finally made it. So it had been sitting on the cutting table since the beginning of January. I hadn't done anything with it. I sort of went off sewing for a little bit. I just couldn't concentrate on any craft. Then I did a little bit of knitting, and then my mother came to visit at the beginning of April, and when I was tidying up the house before she came, instead of just tucking these pieces away in a cabinet to get lost and forgotten about for months, in the middle of my cleaning I thought, you know what I should be doing instead of cleaning? Sewing up that onesie. And it was actually very fast once it was cut out, because it was actually very fast to sew up once it was cut out, because there's no waist seam. So like left front, back right, back left, 4 pieces and you have a full body garment, and then sleeves. As you can see, the cuffs and also the ankle cuff, and then the placket. This is sweatshirting fabric that I bought from Blackbird Fabrics. I have a pair of sweatpants that I made in this sort of dusty pink color. But honestly, at the time when I ordered it, it was not my favorite color, but I really wanted to buy some sweatshirt fabric, and this and a pale yellow is what they had, so I bought it. And it goes perfectly with this fleecy fabric that I bought like 4 months later, so I love the contrast on that. And I did snaps. Again, when I was at Fabricland and I bought this stuff, this fabric, I knew that I wanted snaps on the front instead of buttons. And so I bought the, actually let me get it. So yeah, I bought these little like snap setting pliers. Put your bits in there and squeeze it. It's got a little built-in latch so it doesn't open all the way when you store it, which is handy. And then I bought 2 packages of snaps I actually ended up using the white ones. I also had some silver ones. And they don't have like the pearl or metal or anything in the middle, they're just a ring. So that's my test. Ta-da. See, that was good. That I just pulled that apart. I wasn't being careful with it. Boop. That was what I was most scared about with the snaps, was making sure they worked, to be honest. So here's all the extra silver snaps. It's just the Unique brand. Yeah, Unique 8 snaps for $5.59. The plier things were 20 bucks. And now I have these, and I have some other snaps and eyelets. But yeah, it was the snaps that were the big scary part of this, because like just sewing up some really long seams from like wrist down to ankle was pretty easy. I used a zigzag stitch. On my regular machine, I don't have a serger, even though I sew all these knits, and it's always been fine. I just use a zigzag stitch if it's a seam that's going to be stretched. And honestly, I use a straight stitch if it's on a seam that's not at like in something very stretchy or an area that's going to get very stretched. And so I got all this done, and then it was just open, had no snaps, and so this was my test snap. It's the same fabric as the cuff. I used the same, I interfaced it with the same interfacing because this part of the front has interfacing, and I installed 2 snaps, and they were great, and I pulled them apart, like closed it and opened it a bunch of times, and it was fine, nothing broke, nothing came off. Then I did the front of this. The pattern says to space the snaps between 1 and 1.5 inches apart. I thought, well, I don't want any gaping, so obviously I'll go snaps at a 1 inch interval. But I think I could have gone 1.5. I feel it makes it look a little, it's going to sound stupid coming from a woman in a woodland print onesie, but it makes it feel more like a child's garment in some way, having the snaps so very close together. And I don't think I would have had any gaping even if I had the snaps 1.5 inches apart. But it's fine. Yeah, so I measured that out. I made little dots with a disappearing ink pen, and then I installed the rings for this side. And so that's the top layer, and then I lined everything up nicely, and I used a pin to go straight, because this is just the fabric and it's got the hole in the middle. I just stuck a pin through there on each of them and used that to mark where the male side of the snap should go, and then installed all those. And as I was installing them, I was snapping them together. I started at the bottom of the placket. Once I installed the second half, snap them together so that everything would stay lined up. And that worked really well until I was done, and then I thought, great, I'm gonna try it on. And I didn't just try and Hulk grip all the snaps open. I did it fairly gently, but I wasn't delicate, and a couple of them came off. Because there are 7 snaps on this, and they come in a box of 8. I only had 1 spare. So I used the spare, and then I found regular pliers. Then I bent all the spikes back into place so I could use the snap setter again. And I did that, and then I went over every snap and gave it an extra squeeze with this guy to tighten it up. And then I thought, well, maybe that's not enough. So I got my regular pliers and another little extra bit of fabric and covered the snap in the fabric, and then gave it a squash with the regular pliers even harder. Because this white is enamel, I didn't want to scratch that or scratch the snaps at all, which is why I used the extra piece of fabric. And since I've done that, fingers crossed, I have to get out of this later today, nothing else has come off. But I have also made a point to be careful with them when I'm unsnapping this, and I just make sure like I'm holding it very close and giving it just a gentle pull to unsnap the snap. But yeah, I would highly recommend this pattern. It comes in a big range of sizes. I made the size large. Starts at extra extra small, goes up to 6 or 7X. Super comfy. I'm glad, I think I was trying to decide between making the medium and the large, and I'm glad I decided to go with the large because it is a closer fit than I thought, or than I was imagining, but it's so cozy. It's just perfect for, now it's hopefully spring, although it was just above freezing this morning when I woke up. But hopefully it'll be spring soon, and I won't need warm fuzzy garments to hang out in at home. I think I'm definitely going to make a Christmas one for myself for this year's Christmas. The pattern, I did the long length legs. There's also sort of a shorts version and then a cheeky version that's the very shortest. That's very cute. I just love this, one piece, warm and cozy, watching TV, cuddled up in a fuzzy garment is just so nice. But yeah, so this is the patterns for Pirates Naughty Nice PJs. Highly recommend. Very simple, just, 6 pattern pieces if you don't count the rectangles that you cut out for the cuffs. The fiddliest bit was the bottom of the placket, which is honestly not the neatest. There's a couple little accidental tucks there because this body fabric was so fine. It was very hard to get it to do exactly what I wanted and stay there while I tried to put it through the machine, even with tons of pins. And it's good enough. It's cozy. I'm not wearing this outside. Okay, I might if it's midnight and I'm walking Conan, but I'd be wearing a coat at that point, so no one's going to see the placket. But yeah, very happy with this. This sweatshirt fabric has a different amount of stretch than the fleecy fabric. I think I probably should have cut these cuffs just a little larger than called for because of that difference in stretch, because I can't pull them up very far. Like, I can sort of fold it in half here, but it can't go much farther up my arm than that, and it's the cuff that's stopping it. This fabric would stretch farther up my arm, but this doesn't have the same amount of stretch, and I didn't take that into account when I was sewing. So if I'm doing dishes or making dinner and I want to push up my sleeves, I can't push them up very far. But apart from that, love this. Definitely going to make more. One-piece dressing is where it's at. So thanks for joining me. It was so nice to actually sew something again, and I'm feeling really enthused about sewing right now. I have projects. I have so many things behind the camera right now that are waiting to be cut out or sewn up. It's just nice to have that sewing bug back. And I think it's springtime. Gonna make some cute blouses and dresses, and I'll keep you guys updated on all that. And if you want to hear about that more, please like and subscribe, so then you know when I've posted new videos, and the liking and commenting really helps get the videos out there for other people to see. And so Conan would like you to like and subscribe, wouldn't you? No, he doesn't really care. He doesn't have many worries in the world. But yeah, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.